The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Commander Zixither's tentacles trembled against the holographic display. The war with the Kurthan swarm had lasted 3 cycles, and the Allied forces were losing ground on every front. "We have no choice," Zixither's translator crackled. "We must activate Protocol Omega." The representatives from 47 species shifted uncomfortably. Protocol Omega. The words alone sent ripples of unease through the chamber. It meant contacting them, the humans. River Martinez stood on the observation deck of the research station, watching Earth's blue marble spin below. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical bun, and her gray eyes reflected the planet she'd left behind 6 months ago. She was supposed to be studying xenobiology, not preparing for war. "River." Benny's voice echoed down the corridor before he appeared, slightly out of breath. Her research partner was lanky, with perpetually messy brown hair and an enthusiasm that even deep space couldn't dampen. "You need to see this." The council sent a formal request. River followed him to the communications bay, where the message played on repeat. The Galactic Council, an organization that had deliberately kept humanity at arm's length for the past 50 years, was asking for help. Begging. "Really? They're calling us Special Forces," Benny said, a strange mixture of pride and concern in his voice. "Do they understand what that actually means?" River did. She'd grown up hearing her grandmother's stories about the old wars on Earth, back before the planet unified. Special Forces weren't just soldiers, they were the ones you called when everything else had failed. 3 days later, River and Benny found themselves aboard the Valdris, a Galactic Alliance cruiser, en route to the contested Sigma Quadrant. The ship's carters were built for species much larger than humans, making them feel like children in an adult's world. Commander Zixither greeted them in the briefing room, along with representatives from a dozen other species. The holographic display showed the Kurthan swarm insectoid creatures that moved like a plague across star systems, consuming resources and leaving dead worlds in their wake. "The swarm operates on hive logic," Zixither explained, his translator rendering his words in flat, emotionless tones. "They are predictable, efficient, and utterly ruthless. Our tactical algorithms cannot find a weakness in their patterns." River studied the display, her scientific mind cataloging details. Benny leaned forward, his fingers twitching as if he wanted to manipulate the hologram himself. "You've been fighting them like they're a mathematical equation," River said quietly. The room turned to her. Zixither's primary eye stalks focused in her direction. "War is mathematics, logistics, probabilities, resource management. For you, maybe." Benny had caught on to River's thinking. "But humans, we don't fight like that." The Alliance's first coordinated assault on the swarm's forward position was supposed to follow the carefully calculated battle plan Zixither had spent weeks perfecting. It lasted exactly 7 minutes before River convinced the human contingent to go off script. "They're expecting us to retreat after the first wave," she explained over the comm channel, her voice calm despite the chaos erupting around them. "Every species in the Alliance retreats when casualties reach 12%. It's in all your tactical databases." "Because that is logical," Zixither protested. "To continue beyond that threshold is human." Benny finished, already redirecting his fighter squadron. "River, if we push through their center line during their counterformation, they'll be vulnerable for exactly 18 seconds. River was already running the calculations. "It's insane. It'll work." What happened next would be studied in galactic military academies for generations. The human forces didn't retreat at 12% casualties. They didn't retreat at 20%. They pushed forward with a ferocity that made the swarm's hive mind hesitate. And in that moment of hesitation, they broke through. River's transport took a direct hit during the assault. She woke up in the medical bay with Benny sitting beside her, his face pale but grinning. "We did it," he said simply. "The swarm is retreating from Sigma Quadrant." But River saw something deeper in his eyes, a weariness that came from understanding what they'd unleashed. The galaxy had called humans Special Forces without really comprehending what that meant. Over the following weeks, as the human contingent helped push back the swarm on multiple fronts, River noticed how the other species watched them. There was gratitude, Yes, but also fear. Humans didn't fight wars the way the rest of the galaxy did. They didn't calculate acceptable losses. They didn't retreat according to protocol. They adapted, improvised, and when necessary, they sacrificed. They're afraid of us now. Benny observed one evening in the mess hall. Around them, representatives from other species gave them a wide berth. River nodded slowly. They should be, not because we're cruel, but because we showed them what desperation looks like, what we're capable of when survival is on the line. The war ended 3 months later. The swarm, unable to predict or counter human tactics, withdrew to the galactic rim. The victory celebration aboard the Valdris was subdued. Commander Zixither approached River and Benny privately. The Council wishes to offer humanity full membership. We understand now why Earth was kept isolated. You were protecting yourselves from us, River said. It wasn't a question. Zixither's tentacles writhed in what they'd learned was a gesture of acknowledgement. Every species in the Alliance evolved past their violent phase before achieving space travel. Humans did not. You brought your capacity for warfare with you to the stars. Benny's jaw tightened, but River put a hand on his arm. We brought more than that, she said. We brought adaptability, creativity, and the refusal to accept defeat. Yes, we're dangerous, but we're also the ones who stood with you when everyone else's calculations said to abandon the fight. As their transport prepared to depart for Earth, River looked back at the assembled Alliance fleet. Humanity had proven itself, but at a cost. The galaxy now knew what humans were truly capable of, and that knowledge changed everything. Special Forces, Benny murmured, reading the official designation on their departure documents. They finally understand what that means. River smiled grimly. Let's hope they never have to call us that again. But deep down, both of them knew the truth. The galaxy had opened Pandora's box, and humanity had stepped through. There would be other wars, other desperate situations. And when they came, the call would go out again. Because now the galaxy knew, when all hope was lost, when the calculations showed no path to victory, there was one species that didn't fight by the numbers. They called them humans. They called them Special Forces, and the galaxy hoped never to face them as enemies.